Go. Next one on the bingo card. As much as I am excited to watch this Mavericks team play together, my bingo card is that Cooper Flagg does not win Rookie of the Year.
Wow. GMLB family, welcome back to another episode of Good Morning Let's Basketball. I am your host, Mike Miles, also known as Six Figure Mike. On my right, that's Big Macedonia and GMLB's Chief of Security. Main event, Kev. Kev, what's up?
Yeah, and I'm frozen.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, we might have to, if Kev freezes at some point, Vic, as editor, you might have to throw in the polar bear with the headphones like we did a couple episodes ago. All right. Also on my right is the self-proclaimed podcast equilibrium and viral Dunkin' barista. That's Daniel. Daniel, what's up? There he goes with the celly. Daniel, what's up?
How we doing, y'all? I got a big kickball game on Thursday. Got to be locked in for that, so no horseplay today on the episode.
For sure. That's that killer mentality. Above me, last but not least, the founder and the brains behind the whole operation. Victor. Victor, what's going on?
Took a 2-hour nap today. I'm feeling energized, ready to go.
I actually did the same thing. From 4:30 to 7, I was sleeping. Then I got up, went to Kroger, got some fruit, came back. It's pod time. All right. Today, GMLB family, we got something special. We're kind of in that point in the off season where all the trades happened and kind of they didn't all happen yet, but most of the big ones have occurred. So at this point, we're just going to look forward to next season. But before that, good call, Vic, in the chat that you guys cannot see. Victor reminded me. We do have a GMLB patented moment of silence. It's been a while since we've done a GMLB patented moment of silence, but this one is for Chris Paul, CP3. Farewell season. Will be his last season in the NBA. So before I move any further, we got to give CP3 the GMLB patented bucket of flowers in his moment of silence. So fellas, let's give him 5 here. Okay, back to what I was saying. Thanks for the reminder, Vic. I'm kind of all over the place from that nap, I assume. But, so, bingo card. That's what we're doing today. I'll cut to the chase. We are going to fill out GMLB's 2025-2026 bingo card. So how this works, we have 25 slots on a bingo card. The middle slot, that's a free space. So there's 24 slots to fill in with hot NBA takes that we feel like discussing for the next NBA season. We'll be tracking it throughout the 2025-2026 season so that whenever a space on the card comes to fruition, is completed, we'll check off the bingo slot and we'll see by the end of the year if we have a full bingo on the card. So the way we're going to do it on the pod today, we should have a visual so you guys can follow along at home. But we have the slots here on a bingo card, and we're going to go one by one, give it a take. That's going to be the first slot on the bingo card, and we're just going to go one by one, each of us giving 6 takes to put on the bingo card. And by the end, we'll have all 24 spaces filled, plus the free space, which makes 25 on the card. So I believe we said before the pod that it was going to be Kevin, Victor, me, and then Daniel, and we'll just circle in that order. Take turns filling out the card. Noted, this is for the host who already know this, but I'll just make it clear to the guests. We won't have any contradicting spaces. So if one person says X team will win the championship, and then the other person says Y team will win the championship, we're only including X team on the card. So we're gonna start. I've probably said this 4 times, but we had a slight interlude. So it's gonna go Kevin, Victor, me, and then Daniel. So Kevin, go ahead and start us off. What is our first space on the 2025-2026 NBA season GMLB bingo card? Go ahead.
First baseman, I'm starting off us hot with the league's biggest crash out. This might happen in November. Isiah Stewart breaks the record for the most ejections in a season. He has to have 25.
25 ejections. How many did he
Currently,
have last season?
I don't know, but it's currently held by Rasheed Wallace.
Dude, he got ejected 25 times in a season.
That's insane.
Dude, that's 2, 4, 6, 8. That's over a quarter of the season. He
Under
got ejected. He got ejected. Wait, 82 games?
82 games, 25 times. Oh, wait.
Mm,
Never mind.
that's why we're a basketball channel. But yeah, that's crazy. Can someone fact check how many times Isaiah Stewart got ejected last season?
Oh, never mind. I had the text up. I think that was Anthony Edwards with 20 texts last season, but Isaiah Stewart for ejections.
I wonder, can we even find that? Uh, yeah, I don't even know. I know it was not. I know he got ejected for the DiVincenzo foul, like the whole thing that happened. He also fouled Giannis hard, so that's at least 2. Ejected after dirty play on Thomas Bryant, so that's 3. I'd say he has like under 5, under 5 last season.
I
All
found
right,
it.
how much?
It was Fred Van Fleet with 3 ejections. Isaiah Stewart was also with 3 ejections, and Nick Claxton, 3-way tie.
Yeah, we're starting off really hot on that. Isaiah Stewart 25 plus ejections. Okay. Victor, go ahead. What is your first one? Your first bingo space.
My first one is going to be Jokic having a 50, 40, 90 season.
Ooh, that's actually a really good one.
So every season he comes in, everybody's thinking he cannot perform better than the last season, and somehow he always does.
Just had his best one.
Yeah, just at his best one, with a triple double average. Um, the only thing he really needs to do, because he has the 50% from the field, the 40% from the three, he just needs his free throw shooting to be 90%. Last season, he shot 80% from the free throw line. So if he gets that extra 10%, we could get him in the 50, 40, 90 club.
Dude, this stat line is just absurd. This is absolutely absurd. Wow. Yeah. I did not realize he was that close. That's crazy. We live in a world where Jokic is a 42% three-point shooter. Bro, that's incredible. Um, any comments before we move on, fellas? We can sit on these. We do have a full episode to fill out here. We're we're going kind of fast.
We'll say it's very possible now with the 3-point stat because and I know in the summer league right now they're gonna try out where like half court and full court heaves at the buzzer at the end of the quarter won't be held against players and the percentages.
Mm,
They're trying that out for the summer league and they might incorporate it into the season, which I don't like because it's a shot and it's a shot that
Yeah.
people make. So what if you make it, it doesn't count.
good point.
So like
Yeah,
I
that
think
is a
it's
good
kind of
point.
stupid, but whatever. I'm not in the league.
Yeah,
I
I
believe
didn't know that.
I believe I saw that, and I think someone commented, I don't know how true the stat was, but if Jokic was to have none of that count for him last season, I think he shot him 26 times, and I don't know how many he made, but his field goal percentage from the three would have raised to 45% or 47.
Which is insane.
That's incredible, dude. Yeah, that's going to be super interesting if they let that happen. All right. I'll go ahead and give my first one here. Chris Finch gets fired before the end of the season. Don't know if anyone else had that, but I'm gonna go ahead and take that one for me. Uh, Timberwolves, they didn't quite get it done last season. Not that anyone thought they would, but that's exactly what the problem is. This is probably the best they're gonna be. I don't see them getting much better than this. They just locked in all their players, re-signed Julius Randle, re-signed Naz Reid. If they can't get it done this season, then I think it's likely the end of the Chris Finch era just to kind of get a new coach in there and go a new route because Chris Finch isn't quite getting it done. Last season there were a lot of ups and downs, and he was kind of on the hot seat last season a little bit, but I think this season, depending on how the Wolves perform, if they get a low seed and then go into the playoffs and are first round exits, it'll likely be the end of the Chris Finch era in Minnesota.
I've been calling for this. I said that a couple times throughout the season. Like, oh, he's next. When Mike Malone got fired, I was like, oh, Chris Finch is next. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
surprised I didn't think of this one for the game, but I'm glad someone did.
That did make like seeing Mike Malone go down, seeing Taylor Jenkins go down, that really made seeing Mike Brown go down even last season, that really made this prediction not a hard one for me to make. So
Yeah, there's there's gonna be a couple firings next season. I mean, we see it every year. There's multiple firings, and then it seems like the new trend now is to just hire your interim head coach. So that could be the possibility for the Timberwolves, or they hire someone else who's in the candidate pool. I know Mike Malone still has doesn't have a job. I don't think Taylor Jenkins has a job either yet. But
mm-mm.
yeah, very good possibility for the Timberwolves.
All right, Dan, drop some knowledge on us, please.
For my first square that I'm gonna do, and I'm hoping that I got the formatting for this right. But I think the Los Angeles Clippers will miss the playoffs entirely.
Oh, wow. How come?
Well, with the emergence of a stronger West, well, not really a stronger West, just teams in the West are obviously getting a little bit more deep, and I'm thinking it's time for the older era of player to start to weed its way out in a way. James Harden is mentally pretty much in Cancun. He's I think headed for retirement. And Kawhi Leonard still has some good years ahead of him, but at what cost? And to win a championship for the Clippers, I can't imagine it really gets his goat. So yeah, I see this team missing the playoffs entirely this year.
The same team that took Denver to 7?
They're not the same team anymore.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's undoubtedly true.
They just traded freaking Norman Powell because they didn't want to pay him. And now there's talks about them trading for Bradley Beal,
I
which
saw this.
taking on that contract would be dumb. So I would have rather paid Norman Powell.
Yeah,
And Denver got so much better.
Yeah.
true, true.
Not that has anything to do with it. I just realized, but screw it.
All right, we'll round it back to Kevin for the final square in our first row here. What do you got for us?
All right. So this is a take I called last year, but it got interrupted a little bit. So I think this is finally the year that it happens.
Mm.
Luka Doncic scores 80 points in a game this year.
You really came out swinging, man. These these are borderline impossible takes. But yeah, I mean, a take is a take. Lucas scores 80 points. That doesn't even seem real coming out of
Minimum.
my.
He wasn't that far 2 years ago.
That's true. That is so true. He was a couple made shots away from 80 points, let's be honest there. Why my question is, I don't think the 80 plus points is the craziest part. I think it's the Luca part. Why Luca?
Well, he's been the closest so far.
That's true.
He's been the closest so far. He shoots enough shots. when he gets hot, dude, he just can hit a shot from almost anywhere and can hit any kind of shot. Like the game winners, the deep threes this dude has made. My favorite game winner is when he was like running to the corner and he just like floated it up from the corner. It was like a fadeaway, sky high. It just fell straight in. If there's anybody, it's him.
Yeah. It's interesting with him being on the Lakers now, the different setting. Do you think LeBron or like Reeves shot taking would take away from that?
Not when this dude's hitting like he's about to score 80.
Yeah, I guess LeBron also can play point and just feed him too. He doesn't have to like be the primary ball handler.
Exactly.
But yeah. Okay. Okay.
Plus, I don't know if you guys been seeing. I mean, we see it every year. Actually, is the skinny Luka trend in the summer? Supposedly, he is ripped
That's what they say.
every year.
Uh I'll believe it when I see it. I'll leave it at that. There's that one video of him squatting and everyone started freaking out. All right, Victor, for the first space in our second row, what do you got?
I'm gonna get this one out early. I think that the Thunder will not repeat as champions. I think with the parity we've seen in the NBA, and every year there's been a new champion for I think the past seven years. If I'm wrong, someone correct me. But I just feel like that yeah, the Thunder were the best team last season, and I expected them to be a lot stronger in the playoffs than they were. I felt like there was some times where they disappointed me a little bit, and I think that the Nuggets, who was one of their biggest competitions, just got stronger. The Rockets got better. I think there's going to be some more challenges for them, and then that championship hangover is real too.
Mm,
Yeah. Winning one, super difficult, but repeating, dude, it almost never happens.
yeah.
Shouldn't say almost never, but
I think I saw a cool stat too that there was only, I want to say, 5 or 6 different championships during, or 5 different championship teams during the David Stern era, and then with Adam Silver, there's been 12.
That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think it's got a lot to do with the CBA rules. Now it's just really hard to do the super teams, and then I think there's just a lot more talented stars around the league than there was like a couple years ago and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think we live in a league now where repeating with the same roster is actually a step back instead of a step forward. Uh, because we saw the Bucks try to do that and then get smoked by the Heat. We saw the Celtics try to do that and then get smoked by the Knicks. So I'm really wondering. I actually agree that the Thunder will not repeat. Who is going to be the champion? I have no idea. I really don't know. But I can agree that the Thunder will not repeat. Um, okay. So I believe it's my turn. My next take. Jalen Green won't make it past the deadline in Phoenix. I think Jalen Green is going to be booted before the deadline comes. And, I see Booker, Beal, and Jalen Green like as a better version of Brandon Knight, Isaiah Thomas, and Goran Dragic. Or not even. Like it's like
Uh,
Brandon Knight, Eric Bledsoe, and Isaiah Thomas would be, I guess, the better either of those variations. Where Phoenix had those three guards, and one of them was just clearly like not with the other two. I think they dumped Jalen Green for probably some forwards. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think he'll make it past the deadline? Because I definitely don't.
I think he will. He's young enough to the point where they can almost kind of put up with his BS for a little while and see what happens. We've seen a couple of young stars, I'm going to throw that in air quotes, get traded from the team that they were drafted by. And all they really needed was a change of scenery. And they had a great season and popped off. So he could have an amazing season this upcoming year. He could really find his groove in Phoenix. I think if anyone goes, it'll probably be Beal before it's Jalen Green.
Mm.
Beal has a no trade clause. Actually, that cannot happen.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say, well, they're talking about a
yeah,
buyout, but all last season we heard the same story, and he ended up there still. So
Yeah, it was
because
I
just
he
don't
so
really
likes
dumb.
know.
it's because he likes living in Phoenix. It
Yeah,
kind of, that
like
has to suck.
yeah.
Your team wants to trade you, but they can't trade you because you actually want to stay on the team. Bro isn't wanted.
Yeah. Someone else just got a no trade clause in their contract. It was like someone random, which I thought was really funny. Are you guys familiar with this?
Off the top of my head, no.
Have you guys heard about this? I swear someone just got a no trade clause. That could have been like NBA Centel or something though, but whatever. I'm not gonna look into it. Okay. That was my take. Daniel, it is now on you. What do you got for us?
This one might be a little too hot, but I'm still gonna say it. No, I'm kidding. Um, my prediction or my bingo card thing for next season is that we go from having the least watched game one of the finals from last year to having, I wanted to say the most watched game one finals of all time, but that seems impossible. So what I am going to say is that we have the most watched finals game one since the Bulls era. Um, Reigniting the golden era of basketball and the NBA.
Hmm.
I think there's going to be a lot of hype around this final series, whatever two teams come out. Um, and yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on this final series.
Mm, wow. So you think we're gonna just walk in after an entire season of debating viewership into the golden era of the NBA?
I think this is how it kicks off. Katie on the Rockets, Cooper Flagg. It's all coming together the way that he wanted it to. Who? Adam Silver. Or maybe it was. Never mind.
Thoughts, opinions on that, fellas? Kevin, you gotta have something on
Yeah,
that. Either of you.
Say if it's the right two teams, the right two fan bases. I know a lot of people had a lot of things to say about a Pacers Thunder finals matchup. People were saying no one wanted to see that, and it ended up being great. We saw Game 7 in the finals for the first time in like what, nearly a decade. It's very possible. I don't know if that TV deal kicks in next year or if
it
that's the year
does.
after. It's next
Mm.
year. Yeah, it ain't happening.
Is that what you were gonna say, Vic?
I mean, that was part of it. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, it could happen, but it's probably unlikely just with how complicated streaming has become with watching games. It's damn near impossible. A lot of people just use illegal websites to watch the games, and those don't count as views. You can't really count those numbers. I mean, LeBron uses Stream East, we've seen before. I think the game 7 was one of the most watched game 7s in a while or something. I can't remember. There was some stat around that with the Thunder and Pacers game. Um, but I mean, I feel like people make too big of deals or too big of a deal for the ratings. It doesn't really matter that much as long as there's two good teams and they put on a show for everybody. I think that's all we could wish for.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said.
Next take I have for this upcoming season: Cooper Flagg, 50 piece, not 40, 50 piece. I believe the situation is great in Dallas. It's probably the best team a number one pick has ever been drafted to.
Yeah.
No Kyrie for a little while. They have really good spacing. Broke the record for most points by an ACC freshman in his lone year at Duke. There's even more spacing in the NBA and even more shots.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly possible. Incredibly possible.
What was his career high at Duke? Did he ever drop anything close to that?
I think he had 40 something.
Dang. That's crazy. I'll fact check it. For some reason, I agree. I think, like you said, go ahead.
42.
42. Okay. Yeah, I think the situation is there. There's bound to be a game where Anthony Davis is hurt and Kyrie we know is going to miss most of the season. And it's just like, all right, Cooper, go out and get buckets. The problem with that take is D'Angelo Russell is on the team though. Can you get 50 with D'Angelo Russell as a teammate? I'm not sure. I'm not sure because he'll take
Keep him off
shots.
the floor.
He'll take the shots that you're not willing to take. Uh, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's very possible. I mean, this is one of the most hyped rookies that we've seen in the longest time. I mean, Wemby, of course. But I mean, this is one of the most anticipated players coming into the league. I think it's very possible for him to get 50. It'll just have to be against probably the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's definitely possible, especially if I think we're all pretty excited to see one of the most, what's the word? Like one of those rookies that everyone had their eyes on the way that they did on Zion and Wemby, and we're getting to see them like go to a really good team. In the past, like Kevin said, we've seen them go to not quite as good teams, but now we get to see them on a contender and some, so it'll be fun. So I definitely think he can get a 50 piece, and I think he'll do it this season.
All right, Vic, you're up. What do you got for us?
My next one is going to be that Steve Nash becomes an NBA head coach. There's going to be a job
Run it
opening.
back.
Yes, run it back. The first episode of Mind the Game with Steve Nash and LeBron, they said if Steven somehow gets a job out of this, don't blame the pod. But I'm going to blame the pod. I think this is going to be a trend going on. Steve Nash just said on the latest episode with KD that he didn't get to coach as much as he wanted to. So I think Steve Nash definitely still wants to coach and probably feels that he hasn't got that best opportunity to really showcase his coaching skills in the NBA, and he's going to get that chance next season.
See, I think that's crazy because he had a team of KD, Harden, and Kyrie and chose to just make KD do everything. Like I get it, but I also don't get it. Um, I'm not convinced after seeing what happened in Brooklyn that he's a good coach. And I know there were injuries, but all season, I mean, I didn't see anything I was very very moved by. But what do you guys think?
I like hate what I'm about to say. It's like I feel like that Brooklyn team, they weren't great. They weren't even really good. I'll say that when he was the coach there. I mean, they got dismantled that year by Boston. And I hate to say, like, with a good team, he can be a good coach, but like, no kidding, anybody can.
Hmm.
But I think maybe they could give him another shot and he could be decent. I don't think he could be like a all-time great coach, but I feel like he could be a solid coach, assistant, or maybe even like a player development coach.
Hmm.
I think he
Yeah.
can work his way back onto a coaching staff, but head coach, I don't know.
That's one I was not expecting, to be honest. That's a good one, though. That is a good one. Huh. All right. I'll go ahead with my next one. Uh, Luka Garza will become an actual NBA player. That's what I wrote. I think
What
Luka
was he
Garza,
before?
he was on the roster, but never really played unless it was garbage time, and occasionally if
That still
Rudy
counts.
was injured. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean though. So hear me out. I had to get something Boston on here, and knowing what's going on with my team right now, I don't really know what to think fully yet. So, um, what I do know is Luka Garza is slotted in to be my starting center for next season. There may be people listening to this podcast that don't know who that is. Uh, but what I've seen from Luka Garza, I have always been high on Luka Garza, whether that be Detroit, whether that be Minnesota. When he plays, even when like Gobert goes down, right, and he has to step up in those minutes, what I've seen from Luka Garza has been only positive. Defensively, not great. Not great defensively. We know that. But the shooting is stellar. He can get a shot off. He could be that like great role player piece. I could see him at his peak coming off the bench as a backup 4/5 on a championship team at his best. And I think this is the start, like the opportunity that he's actually going to break out. Now, breakout season is subjective. So maybe midway through the season, we could kind of like look at his stats and kind of count it or not. I won't define what I mean by breakout. We'll have to define that later. But Luka Garza breakout season is going to be my take here. We saw what he did at Iowa. Bro was a beast. I know he like has some of that still. Was he the National Player of the Year, Kevin? Do you remember?
I believe
I
he
think he
was.
was because his senior year he was like hooping. I want to say
Yeah.
he was. I think you're right on that.
Was indeed named the National Player of the Year in 2020, 2021. Okay, yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he was nice.
I know he's got dog in there somewhere. I'm just waiting for it to come out in Boston.
He was killing it in the G League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it's just all about opportunity too. And now that he's on a team where he can be the starting center, I think it's going to do really good for him. And especially that time he spent in the G League and just with the Timberwolves being behind Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert, I'm sure he's learned a lot and can apply that in Boston.
Mm-hmm. All right, Daniel.
Go. Next one on the bingo card. As much as I am excited to watch this Mavericks team play together, my bingo card is that Cooper Flagg does not win Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
Whether hopefully it's not for injuries. But yeah, just his ability to kind of transition into that team early on in the season, I think is going to be difficult. And then once Kyrie comes back, I think he's going to have even more setbacks. Um, so yeah, I'm going with Cooper Flagg does not win Rookie of the Year.
After you agreed a couple squares ago, you drop a 50 piece.
Yeah.
It's possible. See, I'm not though. I don't think those contradict because it is possible to drop a 50 piece and then like he could like we don't want to see it, but he could get hurt and then not win Rookie of the Year. So those I wouldn't call those contradictory, but yeah, that one's definitely hot. If
I have
anyone's
seen
gonna go ahead.
I was just gonna say I have seen too, like a lot of articles about Dylan Harper and the Spurs and kind of just basically that team and what they're expecting this year. Right now, I think, yeah, like in betting pools, Dylan Harper's like plus 900. So definitely a long shot, but could be looking for potential. You could be, what I'm saying is, you could be looking at other rookies that just play into a system better and like
Mhm.
average a triple double compared to him having a 50 piece, which could or couldn't
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, if I had to take a pick for anyone who's gonna do it right now, and I know this is strictly recency bias of what I've seen from the summer league, but VJ Edgecombe looks legit.
Yeah.
And if there's any player, like you said, that just can kind of go into a broken system and just hoop, it's probably going to be him because he's going to the 76ers. And we kind of don't really know what's going to happen with them. Like Embiid's health, Paul George being Paul George, the only for sure thing, they just lost Yabusele as well, which sucks for them. But the only thing we know for sure is that somehow Kyle Lowry is still in the league and Tyrese Maxey is going to go out there and hoop. So he could be that guy for them. He really could be that guy for them. So, um, yeah, I actually don't hate that take as much as I initially thought. Okay, final comments before we move on back to Kevin.
Um, I do kind of like the VJ Edgecombe pick if there was something to go wrong with Cooper Flagg's season. Just whether that be, injury or VJ Edgecombe just outperforming him. I do like that VJ Edgecombe pick. He is a dog, man.
Woof.
All right, Kevin, go ahead, brother. This is your fourth. This is our fourth round. So this each of our fourth picks here.
At my fourth pick. So the last 2 years, we've seen two NBA teams, one from the East, one from the West, make their kind of Cinderella-esque run to the NBA Finals. It's going to happen again. And this year, Paolo Banchero's leading the Orlando
Dude,
Magic to it.
I'm so glad you said
He
that.
just got
I
paid.
agree. I agree fully.
5-year, 187 million. They're all in on this guy. He almost had a 50-piece triple double last year before he got hurt. Got sidelined a little bit. He needs to figure out some inconsistency issues. But they made a good trade for Desmond Bane. A lot of people think they gave up a lot, and they did, but it doesn't matter. There's a year, it's this year. For an Eastern Conference team to make a Cinderella run, it's this year.
Yeah. What would you say constitutes a Cinderella run? Would you say conference finals probably?
Finals.
Oh, finals. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
Dallas as a fifth seed, the
Mhm.
Pacers last year, or Pacers just this past year.
Mhm.
So I would say just a team that maybe a whole lot of people like, oh, they think they can make it. If everything goes right, they can make it. That's kind of like what constitutes it for me.
Like I said, I'm so glad you said that because I'm so high on the Magic too, and the East is wide open, bro. I agree fully with you that
Incredibly
like
possible.
injuries completely plagued their season last year.
Bad.
I know they were healthy going into the playoffs, but it was just the chemistry wasn't there. Jalen Suggs, I think, was still hurt. Um, but now, of course, yeah, like you said, they have Desmond Bane, a guy who fixes their problems, which is perimeter shooting. They're like, oh, we're gonna get KCP, this perimeter 3-and-D guy who could shoot, and then he just bombed the entire season. So then they go and get Desmond Bane, who also perimeter 3-and-D player, but this guy's a fringe borderline all star. So like it's not only a good move for their weaknesses, but he fits their culture too. It's just such a good move for them. And of course, Jonathan Isaac still coming off the bench. Wendell Carter taking a step. I see it. I really do see this one.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. I like that. Um, I do you guys where do you guys like see them finishing seed wise though?
I'd say 3 at the minimum.
Top three. I
Or
think
I'm
they
sorry.
can 100% do top three.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant 3 at the maximum is what I meant to say.
Yeah,
Because
I
it
would.
wouldn't be. I think you have to be 3 or below to be a Cinderella run. Go ahead, Daniel.
X.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I mean top five, I would say. Pretty much the same thing. I don't think they're gonna be top three, but I could see them being top five and making that Cinderella run that you guys are talking about.
All right, Vic. Pick number 4. What do you got?
All right, this is gonna be a kind of crazy one, but I think next year is going to be the last All-Star game ever. I think
Oh, wow.
I think that the NBA has been constantly trying to fix that All-Star game, trying to make new ways to make it competitive and entertaining for the fans, both. And I think they're just done. I don't think there's much that they can do. I think this is the last year they're gonna be able to do a change. And if it doesn't work, they're just gonna be like, all right, we're just gonna pick all stars and they're just gonna be all stars, no game, just have the 3-point shooting contest, dunk contest. Maybe the rising all-star game would stay and the skills challenge, but just glorify the all-stars some way. Uh I know they're talking about a Team World versus Team USA, but I just don't really think that's really realistic just because I feel like there's more Team USA than there would be Team World, and to even that out would just not make sense, both in the East and West, picking it evenly. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
That's Wow. Uh, I see it. So you say like not All-Star weekend, but literally just the game itself.
Yeah,
This is
just a
the last
game.
one. Yeah. It's realistic. It's something I have not thought about at all, but it is something I see as realistic.
It's definitely possible because we saw like the NFL, like the Pro Bowl game. Nobody watched that. Even less people watch the Pro Bowl than they do the NBA All Star game, and they resulted to like flag football for the Pro Bowl game. So I could see them doing something like that. I don't think they would completely just outrule the All Star game. I feel like they'll have some type of like 3v3 tournament, one on one, king of the court type deal, or Team World versus Team USA. If there's a any time throughout NBA history where a Team World versus Team USA is like possible to make and it be somewhat even, it's definitely right now. It definitely seems like that's the idea that Adam Silver's flirting with the most. I could see them doing that next year for sure. The Team World versus Team USA.
Hmm.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, the conversation always circulates around what can we do to make this break in the NBA season more entertaining for the fans. And I think that would be a good one to kind of do the international players versus the domestic players, if that's what you want to call it. Um, but yeah,
That's a crazy word choice.
I think
Imports versus domestics.
imports versus domestics, dude. Yeah.
Bruh.
I think it would spark a lot of friendly competitive like, gameplay, and I think that it would be fun to watch. As for it being the last one, I think yeah, All-Star weekend, I think I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think this may be the last year for like certain aspects of it, but I think the concept of there being an all-star like game or an all-star like appearance or like all-star awardship or whatever, I don't think that's gonna go away personally.
Yeah, I don't think that's going away. I just meant the game itself because I'm just so sick of tired every year. Oh, the All-Star game, it's not competitive. What can we do to make it better? And they try and then nobody likes it. So I'm just so sick of hearing it every year. I don't get why it has to be competitive when it shouldn't really be competitive. I don't know why there's this whole stigma behind it. It just doesn't really make sense to me why the NBA players should go out there, try their hardest to maybe to win a game that really doesn't matter and they could potentially risk an injury. It doesn't make sense. It should be for fun. It should be for fans to engage with the athletes that they could see all in one arena instead of having to go to multiple games to see those players. And then with the Pro Bowl too, like nobody cares about how bad the Pro Bowl is, but and nobody's trying to fix that. So why are we trying to fix the NBA All-Star game? Just doesn't make sense to me.
It's because NBA fans are the worst major sports fans by so far,
Yeah.
so far. That is a good one though. All right, I'll go ahead here. For my fourth pick, I have Toronto finishes top six. Toronto is outside the plan, but on the good side. Toronto's making a lot of steps. We have not seen Brandon Ingram yet. Got a lot of pieces in the off season. I think that with the East being as wide open as it is, no Bucks. Well, okay, we don't know what's going to happen with the Bucks, but in my opinion, no Bucks. We don't know what the 76ers are doing. We obviously know Boston is blowing it up. The Pacers don't have Tyrese Halliburton. Why not is my question to you guys. Why can't the Toronto Raptors step right into that spot? They also just got a new front office, new management. That's going to, what I assume, reinvigorate the franchise to start striving for more. Guys taking steps. They have our guy Colin Castleton on the roster. Did not know that, but I guess, yeah, they got him too. So, yeah, this is the year, fellas. This is the year for the Raptors resurgence.
Year of the dinosaur. I think that their biggest thing is health. You know, while everyone else is down, they should definitely try their best to stay healthy because they'll definitely lock in a top 6 seed. But I know Scotty Barnes missed some time last year. Brandon Ingram missed what seems like the whole entire season. If they want to crack that top 6 seed, they're definitely going to need both those guys. We don't even know if Brandon Ingram is going to be good for this team yet. But solid player. It could happen. If there's a year, it's this upcoming year.
They still have Garrett Temple. Garrett Temple is still in the league. Bulls legend.
Hell yeah.
I love the post. Bulls signed Garrett Temple. that's that's the classic
Yeah.
Bulls meme.
We don't like signing anybody good. We don't like
Okay.
spending money. Who does that?
All right, Daniel, you're up.
Shoot, I got distracted. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. So for my next bingo slot, going off of kind of what Victor was talking about, I think that after the Emirates Cup, it will be announced that the next season, the NBA like regular season will be shortened.
Wow.
So I think
Jeez.
I think someone else a couple either a couple or one big name goes out before the Emirates Cup and the league feels pressured enough to finally say, you know what, let's try it out. And maybe it goes along with what Victor said. They do like a reformatting to All Star Weekend and to the Emirates Cup. But yeah, after that, after the Emirates Cup, I think the NBA will announce that they're shortening the season.
Why after the Emirates Cup, which is an extension to the season, don't forget.
That is true. Wait,
Is
no,
that
it's
why?
built into the season. There's only just one extra game if you go to a championship.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I meant, just the championship game, but
So I think that's kind of why maybe a little bit is just because around that time I figure a lot of teams will either be all in on that tournament or completely out, and it'll just further raise the question of like, why are we having all of these games, like these filler games in a way sometimes that like don't really contribute to the final result of the NBA season. Obviously, there are a lot of games that are important, but I don't know. I think every NBA fan can agree that there are some games that like I don't think anyone cares to watch. Sometimes. It's not all the time. And those matchups still have to happen, but yeah, I see this season being specifically people like NBA fans being specifically hard on the league during this season, whether it's
mm,
injuries or the other thing.
Yeah, I think that's a
wow.
possibility. It's probably been talked about a lot recently, especially with like a lot of the Achilles tears that's happened in the past couple of years, and especially last season in the playoffs. So it's definitely a real possibility. I mean, I don't know how much they'll shorten it though. Maybe like 10, 15 games.
Yeah, I don't see them doing anything major.
All right, Kevin, go ahead.
Back to me, huh? Speaking of shortened, I think next season is Joel Embiid's last.
I had that
Oh,
one
Damn.
too.
He's been advised by medical staff to medically retire. The guy has had absolutely nothing but injuries throughout his entire career. Nothing but injuries. Sprinkle an MVP award in there. Cool, have it. But there comes to a point where you kind of have to assess, like, all right, I've made FU money playing this freaking game. I'm 31. I have children. My body's in pain every single day. Some things that are just bigger than hoops. And I feel like he might realize that and also realize that, oh, I've never played a full season and I physically can't last the entirety of an NBA season because it's long. If you want to go to the finals, you start in October, you end in June. It's 8 months of hoops. Like, I don't know. I think it's incredibly, incredibly possible. We've seen people retire early for the same exact thing in across all sports. And I think he could definitely be that person. I almost think that he should. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's gonna be interesting what happens with Embiid and the 76ers. I I think next year they'll they'll probably be where they've been the past couple of years, finishing somewhere in the top five if Embiid's healthy. I know that's like the biggest asterisk every year is if he's going to be healthy or not. But for him to retire, I don't know, man. I mean, it's a very big possibility, but just being his height and how much money he's made and stuff, I don't know if he's ready to call it quits yet. But I mean, it's definitely possible.
This was kind of one of my bingo squares. What I was going to say is that at the end of this season, I think the Sixers will move away from Joel Embiid and finally cut out the cancer from their team. But I think I mean, Kevin's is a lot more of a hot take, and retiring this early, I think more likely Joel Embiid is going to milk the situation the way that athletes milk their injuries and their situations sometimes for their own benefit. I think he'll hold the Sixers hostage basically until they're just terrible and they've traded away all of these good young guys that they have now. Um, and it's unfortunate. It's going to be a pain to watch, but yeah, I mean, I hope they do get rid of him, or I hope he does decide to go off into the sunlight, but or into the what is that?
Unsaid.
Sunset.
Yeah, I mean, when your own, I'll keep it short. I think they covered everything, but when your own team is recommending you retire just to one, save yourself, but more save the franchise, I think that's really saying something. We also saw, don't forget, the controversy last season with Embiid not trying, and Tyrese Maxey had to check him for his effort. We saw him get in that fight with Kelly Oubre about his effort on the bench. There's a lot of different things outside of health that also make me think the franchise is just not feeling him anyway. So it might be like, hey, if you trade me, I'm gonna retire type thing too. Like it's not worth me going to a brand new situation and moving my entire family when I'm not even like you said, Kevin, like when I'm in pain all the time. So yeah, that's actually a really good one. That's a really good one. Vic, Slate five. What do you got for us? We're getting to the end here.
I got one similar to kind of like Daniel's, just a new season or new rule, or I mean, not rule actually, but I'll just go ahead and go with it. So somewhere in the middle of the season, probably around Emirates Cup time, just just to go along with Daniel. But they're gonna add two more teams to the NBA for the following season. They're gonna announce it in the middle of the season, and I think
Mm.
one of them's gonna be Vegas, and then I think one of them's gonna be outside the U.S. It's gonna be either Canada or Mexico. I'm thinking it's going to be Mexico City just because they've talked about it before. But if you guys don't want to put Mexico City and you guys think another team, we could debate that. But I just feel like they're not going to go back to the Supersonics for some reason. I know they're gonna make fans happy some way, adding two teams, but they're also gonna have to disappoint them in a way.
Hmm.
If the NBA adds a team, when the NBA adds a team, it'll 100% be Vegas. Vegas is kind of becoming like the sports capital of the world. Every big fight is in Vegas. F1 racing, if you're into that stuff, is in Vegas. The Raiders Stadium, LA Knights, like they're just, or the Vegas Golden Knights, not the LA
Yeah, I was
Knights.
gonna say LA Knights in
The
Vegas.
the Vegas Knights, like there's just so much funding and stuff just in Vegas. It's just super possible. When the NBA adds a team, it's 100% going to Vegas first. Like absolute zero doubt in my mind.
Yeah. I again, this is a really good one. I don't know if I saw it coming this early, but I will definitely make you look like a genius if this happens.
I just meant like announce it. It's not gonna go into
I
effect
mean, yeah,
probably
but
a couple years.
okay, let me add announcement to that. But yeah, I mean, either way, yeah, it's approaching that time, especially with the amount of parity we have. There's so many good players on a roster that like when they do the expansion draft, I think you're able to for sure save eight of your players. or something like that, and then the expansion teams draft from the rest of the available players. But like the Thunder having only 8 players, I mean, you have your starters, then you have Hartenstein, Caruso, and I don't know who you save, like Isaiah Joe. So then, like now, Aaron Wiggins is on the table for a team to take. AJ Mitchell, who's like gonna break out in one of these next 2 seasons, you're gonna take. It's stuff like that. Nikola Topic, like a promising rookie we haven't even seen, and that's just from the Thunder. So super interesting if they do that. Now's the time to do it, because of how much parity there is. That's a good one.
Yeah, I was pretty much just going to say the same thing. I mean, going off of what we were talking about, my bingo prediction that this will be one of the most like watched NBA seasons. I know that's not exactly what I said, but like kind of along with what I said. So yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a very strong possibility that midway through the season they say, okay, we're gearing towards a good direction, and this is something that a lot of NBA fans and a lot of people want in the community, so let's do it. I like the timeline too.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention Case and Wallace. So if anyone noticed, Case and Wallace would probably be saved over Aaron Wiggins, which means you can get both, or Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe. You know what I mean? Okay. Um, does that mean it's my turn? My turn.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right. Slate five. I'll make this one quick. Draymond gets another indefinite suspension this season. Playing with Jimmy Butler. There's going to be another fire lit in Golden State. My man is going to be indefinitely suspended at some point again this season. This one's kind of a gimme, I feel like. Uh, what do you guys think? We saw it last year. Or was that 2 years ago? Did it happen last year?
2 years ago when he the whole thing with like Nurkic
Ah, okay.
choking
two
out
years ago.
people.
Yeah,
That
good
was
call.
2 seasons ago. I mean, yeah, it's kind of inevitable in a way if you think about it. Like the dude just doesn't learn and he just keeps up his antics. And the league got tired of it already, gave an indefinite suspension. So we know it's possible. They'll do it again. I'm sure they will
Yeah.
to kind of keep the league PG. So we have Draymond getting an indefinite suspension and Beef Stew breaking the record for most ejections
Dude,
in the season.
getting ejected for over a quarter of the season is crazy. All right. Daniel, go ahead.
For my next one, I'm going with something that I think is almost positively likely to happen, and that is Anthony Edwards MVP. I
Mm,
think
how positive are you?
no, I'm just kidding. I'm not I'm
Because we
not
do we
100% positive.
we do have Chris Finch getting fired on this, so I would say those are mutually exclusive, but maybe not. I mean, Mike Malone got fired and Jokic was almost the MVP, so I wouldn't say they're completely contradictory.
It's going
So
to be
Edwards MVP.
yep. Anthony
Go ahead.
Edwards will be in the running with once again our favorite buddy boy Nikola Jokic, most likely. It'll be a tough race all the way to the end. No, I think Anthony Edwards why I think he could be MVP this season is because Katie with the Rockets, obviously OKC reigning champions, the Mavericks, the Lakers, all of these teams obviously like super hot shots and have a lot of people I think hype on them. And I think Anthony Edwards is going to do exactly what he did the last few seasons, prove himself and prove that, he can hang with the best. And I think that's what'll isolate him as the clear front runner for MVP.
I don't know if he's got it.
I
Yeah.
don't think he does, but I take
Okay.
bingo card. No, I'm kidding. No, I
If
think
we get
I
a
think he could do
bingo,
it.
if we get a bingo on Edwards MVP, man, we would have to we would have to get some kind of respect in the NBA community for something like that. If we like somehow got a bingo and that's our final card there. All right, Kevin, we have 4 more slots. That's one pick each. What's your final slot going to be?
So my final slot doesn't involve an NBA player, but it does involve somebody I cannot stand. That is, this is the final year we see Stephen A. Smith as a part of First Take. This guy absolutely sucks for the NBA. Not only does he not know anything, does he not pay attention, is he incredibly biased and his forehead is massive? He's just an idiot for all those reasons. I really hope they just absolutely sweep this guy off of television. I can't stand seeing him. I can't stand his voice. Going back to he doesn't know a damn thing about ball. It's just if there's one if there's one square on this dang bingo card that hits, I'm hoping it's this one.
Yeah, I don't think that LeBron controversy last season helped his case a
That
lot.
too.
I think like even beyond like just fans who, that's not going to rub off on the fans the right way. Even on like the NBA in general, the media in general, that is a really bad look to have LeBron James like face to face with you over something you said. That's a really bad look.
Especially like how like personal it was. And people are gonna judge it and say, like, oh, it wasn't that bad, wasn't this and that. It doesn't matter. But like, yeah, that definitely did not help his case. And then he like how he doubled down on it too in a
Yeah.
podcast 2 weeks after it happened, talking about he would have fought and hit LeBron. In that moment, you were not thinking about hitting LeBron James. I'll tell you that. You were thinking about sitting your ugly self down.
During an
I can't
NBA
stand that
game,
clown.
like
I
it's, yeah,
can't
that's
stand that guy,
crazy.
bro.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do hope that bingo card hits, bro, because I'm kind of getting sick of him too. And now he wants to run for president, which is crazy.
What?
See that I did
What,
not see.
bruh? I don't even know what to respond with to something like that. Like I don't know what to say. That's absurd. All right, Victor, final bingo card slot. What is it?
All right. I was thinking about maybe holding this one off, but this is a really out there one. But it is Anfernee Simons is going to be an all-star next season.
That
Him,
is that's a really good one. That's crazy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say him getting traded to the Celtics. I think he's going to be in a position to where Tatum is out. He's going to be able to be coach under Joe Mazzulla, have a good developing staff around him, and be able to continue work on his game. Because I think his best season he was averaging 22 points. I could see him getting back to that, or even maybe even 25 points. And there's going to be a spot open in that East with Tatum out for an All Star, and I think that could be very well be Anfernee Simons.
Wow. I kind of agree. I wonder because my thing is like I don't think Anthony Simons is going to make it past the deadline, but that doesn't matter in terms of all stars. So
Mhm.
I mean, dang, I didn't consider that. They might just say go out there and hoop, like, and that's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean they really don't aren't going for anything next season.
Yeah, the thing is I'm sure that Jalen Brown will be an all star next season. So it's like depending on where they're seated, right? If they're seated high enough for two all-stars, I think that that's very possible. I think it just depends on where they're seated. Because if they're like the seventh seed, they're not going to give two all-stars to the seventh seeded team. But yeah, that's interesting because it's possible. I like that one. I hope that one's true because I'm a Celtics fan. That'd be sick.
Personally, I don't have a lot to add to that one.
Okay.
I think if
I'll
if Boston does have an All Star, it is Jalen Brown. He definitely 100% will be an All Star. But I'm worried that JB just might just say like, "Oh, Tatum's out. F it. It's my time." His biggest roadblock is Jalen Brown.
Um, Daniel, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do this slot, and I'm gonna finish us out because I got a whole GMLB full circle moment at the end.
Well, my last one is kind of a silly one, but I'm fairly confident in this one. I'd say about 90%. I'd say about 80%. LeBron James will not retire at the end of this upcoming season.
Bingo. I got it.
You know, I think that one's pretty obvious. Am I? Does anybody else
Well,
think that one's obvious? I think he would
uh,
have to have a farewell tour if it was his last season.
yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay, I'll further elaborate. LeBron James will not only not retire like for the 2026-2027 season, but he will play in the 2027-2028 season.
We can't verify that though. We can't verify that on a bingo sheet at the end of the season.
Okay, put from this date, LeBron will play at least another 3 years.
damn, dude.
That's the same thing.
It's the same thing. He just said a more
You just
official
said it
version.
differently.
All right. All right, I'll go with one that I was gonna do for earlier then. You can cut all this out. I think the Knicks are gonna make the finals this year.
Oh, we can't do that.
Can't do that. Try again, dick face.
Wait, why can't I do that one?
Because we already have the Magic going to the finals from the East.
Well,
You're
that was
doing so
Kevin's,
good.
not mine.
Yeah,
but
moron. Listen,
contra-
you can't have contradicting ones on the
okay,
sheet.
Yeah. It's one we're one sheet together.
Oh no.
All right,
I'm not.
let's just keep it. LBJ will not retire at the end of the season.
I could
Let's
do
just keep it that.
I could do
We don't.
Giannis will announce he's leaving and going somewhere else. Specifically the Warriors, but it doesn't seem fun. We can
I
go with the
say
LBJ one.
let's just keep the LBJ one because we do need like some space that we can for sure get because these are hot, dude. I'm not. There is a very high chance that like none of these hit, but that one I think is a for sure hit besides the free space. So maybe we could keep it. Like it's a good thing. Okay. My final pick to end off the show before we quickly recap the bingo card. Full circle moment for the NBA player face of GMLB. Ben Simmons gets waived this season. Ben Simmons is going to get waived by the Clippers at some point this season. For our longtime fans, if you're still watching, you know that Ben Simmons, he's in our banner. He's always been the logo for our, they got Jerry West as the logo of the NBA. Well, Ben Simmons is the logo of GMLB. That's our guy. Unfortunately, I think he's getting waived by the end of the season.
Think he's a free agent.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think
He
might
didn't
be going to the
sign?
Knicks.
Oh,
For,
He,
or,
he signed a 1-year deal with LA, and it's up.
huh. All right.
if,
You
if
could say
my
Ben Simmons remains a free agent for the whole year.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Nobody signs Ben Simmons.
That's
For some
actually-
reason, yeah, that's actually a good point. For some
That's even
reason,
better.
I did not know. I thought he signed or re-signed with them. That must have just slipped through my fingers there. Okay. All right. Keep that if you want. It doesn't really matter. All right. Here's the take. Final take for the final spot of the bingo sheet. For the logo of GMLB, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons remains a free agent all year. No one signs him.
That's wild.
this, this,
The
this is
entirety
another
of the
free
season.
square.
yeah,
No one signs Ben Simmons. All right. I'm going to recap our bingo sheet for the 2025-2026 NBA season. We'll go row by row. Okay. First row. Isiah Stewart, 25 plus ejections, breaks the record for most ejections in a season. Jokic, 50, 40, 90 season. Chris Finch fired by the end of the season. LA Clippers miss playoffs entirely. Luka scores 80 plus points. Second row. Thunder will not repeat as champions. Jalen Green doesn't make it past the deadline on the Suns. The least watch game one of the finals last year becomes the most watched game one since the Bulls era this season. Cooper Flagg drops 50 points at some point. Steve Nash becomes a head coach in the NBA again. Row 3. Luka Garza has a breakout season for the Boston Celtics and becomes an actual NBA player. Cooper Flagg does not win Rookie of the Year. Free space. Magic's Cinderella run to the finals. 2025-2026 is the last All-Star game ever. Row 4. Raptors finish in the top 6 in the East. After the Emirates NBA Cup, the NBA season is officially announced to be shortened. This is Joel Embiid's last season. Sometime during the season, there will be a 2-team announcement of an expansion. One of the teams will be Vegas. The other one will be outside of the U.S. There will be another indefinite Draymond Green suspension. Final row. Anthony Edwards wins MVP. Stephen A. Smith runs his last year on First Take. Anfernee Simons is an all-star next season. LeBron James will not retire at the end of the season. Call that a free space. Ben Simmons remains a free agent all year. That is your GMLB 2025-2026 bingo card. If we get any of these at any point during the season, I know a lot of these will have to wait till late in the postseason here, but this is our bingo card. If any of these hit, we're marking it off. The goal is to get a bingo by the end of the 2025-2026 NBA season. Final thoughts before we close out, fellas.
Today is July 8th, 2025, 8:51 p.m.
If we get a double bingo, they gotta hire us instead of Stephen A. on First Take.
Yeah, if we get a double bingo, like imagine Stewart ejections hits. Dude, do you know how insane of a take that would be?
Plus 10,000 odds.
I don't even think he plays enough to get ejected that much.
Yeah, what if we made like a giant parlay or just put $1 on each of these?
All right. GMLB family, that's going to do it for us. I feel like this episode has run long, so I'm going to make this outro quick. If you want to watch the full podcast, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for the full version. If you want to watch interactive shorts of any of our content, we're on Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. If you want to email the show, we have our show email, gmlbfans@gmail.com. Spelled phonetically. Email the show if you want to have us read your email live on the show. We're looking for more emails in Season 4. That's coming up shortly. And with that being said, GMLB family, we're out of here. We appreciate you watching. And goodbye.